Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
Wherever you are watching this show, I thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. Today, this fantastic person that I'm going to interview is a founding member of the Jamaican Bobsled Team. He's now an international keynote speaker, Mr. Devon Harris, and I cannot wait to share him with you because I've done my research and he's someone that I want to boast about. Welcome to the show, Devon.
Hey, Jenny, thank you. I'm not sure what you found in your research, but I'm curious to know as well.
Well, you have done things that a lot of people would say if you would have discussed it before doing it, that you're crazy. You could never do it. And so why don't we start there? Why don't we start there?
All right, fine. What would you like to know? I am crazy. I think I do have a screw missing.
Well, good. I like people with screws missing because I have some missing too. So I remembered years ago when I was a younger girl hearing about this Jamaican bobsled team going to the Olympics and thinking, where did they find the snow to practice? Yeah. So why don't we start with that? Because I think that's the one thing that most people know of.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's an old proverb that says, if the mountain will not come to Muhammad, Muhammad must go to the mountain. And so that's exactly, if the snow won't come to Jamaicans, then we go to the snow. So you're absolutely right. The team got started in Jamaica. Many people have seen the movie Cool Runnings, and it's loosely based on a true story, by the way. So at the time I was in the Army. I was a young officer in the Jamaica Defense Force. And around about that time, two Americans came up with the idea to start a bobsled team, a Jamaican bobsled team. Couldn't get the guys on a summer team to do it because they discovered that a big part of a bobsled race is a start, you need sprinters. So they came to the Army looking for athletes. I, as I said, was a young officer who was dreaming of competing in the 1988 Olympic Games in Seoul, Korea, running. I was a middle distance runner. And my colonel, suggested that I tried out for the team. And so that kind of got me really interested in pursuing this bobsled thing. Tried out, got selected. The thing about bobsledding is that it's not a sport that you can truly practice all year round. When we started in the sport, there are only 16 bobsled tracks in the world. You have to go on the track, right? So for example, Canada had only gotten their first track. The US had only one. France didn't have a track. Norway didn't have a track. Japan didn't have a track, and all those were still bobsledding nations. So they traveled to the tracks. And so that's what we did. We, ran and lifted weights in Jamaica, and then we traveled to the bobsled tracks to train.
So you competed in more than one event, right?
Well, one-on-one Olympics. Well, you're right. One-on-one event, technically. In 1988, my first Olympics, I was a pusher on the four-man sled. I was the number 2 guy in the sled. I was right behind the driver. And then in 1992 and 1998, I competed in the 2-man bobsled events as well. So I did both 2- and 4-man events over 3 Olympics.
How did you guys place in those events? I'm just asking these. I know because I looked it up, but I'm asking for someone who doesn't know.
Oh, you're asking for a friend.
No, I'm asking for my viewers.
So I think everybody knows that in 1988 we crashed spectacularly, didn't finish the race. In 1992, as a driver, I finished 35th from 52, yeah, and the other Jamaican sled finished 36th. And in Nagano, I finished 29th from 42 in the 2-man.
That's great. So tell me what that was like. Here's this group of young men from Jamaica going to compete in this Olympic. And there's so much pressure in that. When I was younger, I was a high jumper for my school. And at my school, I kind of dominated the field. But when I went to the real huge event where all the other schools were and I saw the people I was competing against, I panicked and it really affected my performance. Did you feel any of that when you're actually at the actual event where you had all these other countries represented with competitors that had the advantages of the places to prepare appropriately for the event? Did you
Well,
feel
Jenny, I tell
any of
you,
that?
yeah. So whenever I compete, even when I was in high school, I'm a nervous wreck, just like nervous. But I have this ability once it's time to go. So it doesn't matter how nervous I am. Once when I was running track and they say, okay, on your marks, or in bobsledding, once they say the start is clear for Jamaica, I'm good. It's just the competitive nature takes over, the aggression, the adrenaline is flowing, and it's time to go. So yeah, it's I mean, I think every athlete dream about competing at the Olympic Games, and it's such a high honor to be able to represent your country.
Right.
But you feel the pressure on your shoulders as well. I remember perhaps one of the most palpable moments for me was when I was in Nagano. And I remember warming up, and there was a moment where I felt like I was about to wilt under the pressure. And I just had to kind of dig deep to find that inner strength to go, nope, you've trained too hard to get here. It's time to step up. So it's I think all athletes at all levels feel that, and it's how you choose to deal with it mentally. Are you going to wilt and shy away from the pressure, or are you going to face it and give it your best shot?
And you clearly face it and give it your best shot. And since then, you've been given everything your best shot based on what I've researched. And I really admire that. We are
So
living in a world with so many disadvantages, especially when we are black skinned,
mhm,
or
mhm.
whenever we fit one of the boxes that the world has set up to give us a place, all of us. How did you overcome adversity in those situations? Because I am sure you experienced some of it. Discrimination of some form.
Yeah, I tell you and thank you, for your kind sentiments. The kind of like the first time I experienced some kind of discrimination was when I went to England initially, but it is so subtle. It is so subtle that if you're not aware, you're not thinking, it could go over your head. And it was, you know, we Jamaicans have a certain level of confidence and swagger that we honestly, go out in the world with. And people see us laid back and easygoing, and oftentimes mistake that for a lack of intensity and ambition, and it's not so.
Mhm.
And so certainly in those instances, I just I made my performance speak for me, and that has been the case, kind of my approach for the most part. I've never had to have a violent, intense, confrontation over the years. I've been able to just kind of go through the world thinking, you know what, you don't even know who you're talking to. You don't know me and what I have to offer,
Mhm.
or what I've done. And I kind of take so I'm looking, I, I console myself with that confidence, that I know who I am, and what they think of me is really, quite frankly, not my business. It's their business.
I love it. And I subscribe to the same attitude because I feel if you don't, you're going to get mowed because we're living in a very competitive world, in a very judgmental world. And so if you don't have any faith in yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, you'll get stuck. Where where do you think, and what you said about Jamaicans is very true. Almost every single Jamaican I've met in my life along this journey, they hold their own. Like, it's sort of implied, don't mess with me, right? Where does that come from?
I don't know. I wish and I'm probably wrong, and the historians might tell you that it's wrong. I mean, of course, we're all descendants of slaves, and my story is that, well, I think history has shown that some of the baddest, most, unruly slaves were sent to Jamaica.
Are you
And
I did not know that.
we're just a bunch of badasses, and it has just, well, we really do have that attitude about us, though, and I think that there's a pride that we have in ourselves and our country. And so when you talk about us going to the Olympics or doing anything outside of Jamaica where we're representing the country, I think that because there's an expectation that you're going to do well, you strive to live up to that. And that brings with it as well a certain amount of swagger. But yeah, it's just something in our DNA. And I wish I could, accurately tell you where it's from, but we just roll with it.
So I interviewed someone else from Jamaica since I was doing a COVID-19 series, and I spoke with this person. He's a professor in Jamaica. And one of the things that I got from that interview, and I've observed over the years, is that the Jamaican people and government, you're very united and you're supportive, very supportive of the people that go represent you. And I would imagine that support extends to the citizens of the country, which I feel like unites you as a country. I noticed when different athletes go out and represent Jamaica, or the Miss Universe pageant or whatever, whether they win or not, your country really shows appreciation that you even went out there to represent them. Do you feel that when you go out to represent Jamaica at an event or something, that there's an element of pressure, or is it an element of, I want to show you guys that you were right in picking me to do this?
I think it's both. It's kind of I think we have a schizophrenic relationship, Jamaicans, with the people who go off to represent us. Because believe me, especially in track and field, they can be really harsh. For a country as small as ours that punch so high above our weight class per se. If our track athletes turn in an okay performance, people will voice their displeasure. They really will. And that was one of the challenges we had, our fears we had in 1988 when we crashed, because we felt that we had let down the entire country. And I mean, again, it's a huge burden to bear on your shoulders. So we were really worried about going home because we thought we were going to be ridiculed. But people were so supportive because they saw this as so far outside of the norms. Here it is, we're a tropical island, and you had a bobsled team, that they didn't go, well, no, how could you have crashed? They were like, well, they did well. They were making excuses for us that we athletes on the team did not make for ourselves. So we are, as a nation, very proud of people who go off to represent us. Because, well, now we're 3 million people, but still that's a tiny speck when you compare that to the greater world population. But here we are in the mix of it, so it is, again, something to be proud of.
So, a lot of us, we become who we become because we believe in ourselves, because we want to make the best of this journey, because we've had parents who've really set a good foundation for us, who've guided us, or teachers or some mentor along the way that guide us and to keep us believing in ourselves.
Mhm.
Because you can believe in yourself, but if you're not strong enough, you can encounter situations and people that can make it feel like a myth and you stop believing it. Would you credit the person that you are to your parents? Which of these you think helped you? And I'm asking this because I have some friends who really struggle, and I see so much ability in them, but it's difficult to get them to see that. So this is why
Mhm.
I'm asking you this question, because maybe you can help them.
Well, I whenever I'm asked this question, I always go back to my grandmother. I blame her, my father's mother. It's her fault.
Blame her.
I blame her. Yes, I spent my early years with her in rural Jamaica, St. Elizabeth. And the thing I remember most about her was that she was this amazing storyteller. And the stories that impacted me the most were the ones she told me about soldiers. And I don't remember a whole lot of details about the stories, except she would talk about the fact that soldiers could perform these amazing feats and not get hurt. And it seemed so wildly impossible, but I wanted to do it. And so that's the thing that inspired me to want to be a soldier in the first place. But the most important thing about the stories she told me, the way they impacted me was they inspired me to want to do things that other people thought were impossible or
Mhm.
incredibly difficult. And that has just stayed with me, man. I talk about the fact that I have this missing screw because if it's more difficult, that's what I want to do. So, like, when I was growing up, and I knew I wanted to join the army, and then I realized you could join as an officer. That was more difficult, but that's what I wanted to do. When I went over the bobsled team, the brakemen had to score more than the drivers. So knowing nothing about the sport, I'm like, oh, I'll be a brakeman then. And then I got, which is a more difficult way to make the team. And you think that if I'm trying to make the team, I'll try to sneak in the easier way, right? And then when I got in the sport and I realized that the driver was the more challenging, responsible role, I'm like, I want to be a driver. So that has just kind of stayed with me. I think, also just being in school and being challenged and affirmed by teachers, but always having this competitive streak has all kind of come together to create what you see.
But you must have a tremendous belief in yourself, because I am very driven like you. I mean, I didn't do anything as fantastic as you've done, but I've done things that I've wanted to do, even though people told me I couldn't do it. And like you, I take a no as a moment to strategize how I'm going to show them that no is a yes, the people telling me no. So for you, all of that being said, you clearly had a great foundation and a good support system, but you had to have a real belief in you and your abilities, because along the way we do meet people that make us question ourselves.
Yeah, I think it comes down to you're always building on those beliefs, and but I think it starts with that desire, like, oh my God, I want to win a medal. Like I didn't win a medal until I was 15.
But you
You know,
did. But you
so
did.
how long? Like every year I'm trying, and I just kept trying, and then so once you get that like first break, man, you just kind of um you feed on it, and you go, okay, can
Bring
I
it
do this
on.
again? Yeah, and because you have that strong desire, you put the work in, and they say competence improves confidence as well.
Mhm.
And so if you become competent and confident in one area of your life, you kind of start applying that to other areas of your life as well, right? The more challenges come, and sometimes you will slip and you'll fail and you'll be miserable, but then you go, okay, all right, fine, let's shake that off, because there's this other thing that I want, and I don't know how I'm going to get it, but I'm going to work as hard as I can to go get it.
I am so happy that I have this chance to share this time with you. I am really hoping some of my friends that struggle, who are waiting to watch this interview, because I think I told the whole world I was interviewing you today. I
Oh,
was so
I'm glad I turned up.
excited. No, I was so excited to do this because I know of your story. I know of the bobsleigh thing. I remember sitting there going, I'm from Guyana. Look at these Jamaicans doing this. I am so proud of them. And then the movie, Cool Running. Did you work with them side by side? Were you in the movie?
Uh, how do you answer that? Loosely. So we have spent a lot of time in the beginning, we met with the writers, they took copious notes. And then, I see the final product, and I imagine that after we left the room, they kind of throw away the notes and go, give me a notebook, let me write something interesting. So the movie is loosely based on the true story.
Okay.
None of us on the team acted in the movie.
Okay.
When they show the team at the Olympics, they actually took the footage from the Olympics and spliced it into the movie. So I could go, yeah, that's me there on the sled. But there was no acting. I was on the set in Calgary when they were filming, which is kind of cool. I think it's really cool to be on a Hollywood movie set. Incredibly flattering to be on a movie set watching them make a movie about a part of your life. So all that was cool, but no, I didn't act in the movie. I guess I'm just not a good actor. I don't know what it is.
Well, I know people are going to hate me if I don't ask you this. How far off from the truth is the movie?
Oh, like I said, I think at the end the credit says loosely, based on the true story. It should have said loosely based on the true story. So the facts are that there was a bobsled team from Jamaica. We had problem getting funding. We went to the Olympics and we crashed. Everything else, they either made up some truths or they stretched the truth to make it funny.
Did that bother you?
No, because as I was about to say, I think they did a really good job in depicting the spirit of the team. Underdogs fighting to overcome. So that it's a kind of movie that I would have enjoyed even if it wasn't about myself and my teammates, because I felt like there were some. It was a good human interest story and had some powerful life lessons.
Devon, you've been through so much, you've done so much, you are an international keynote speaker. Clearly, you're someone worth listening to because you're having a huge impact on my life just in this brief moment we're spending together. As you look back on your life, what would you change, if anything? And what lesson do you have for someone who has everything that they need to do, but they're just stuck behind the veil of fear?
Yeah, maybe I really should come up with a better answer, because I've been asked this question more than once. What would I change? Not maybe win a medal at the Olympics. To be honest, nothing. Because even the failures and the frustrations and the setbacks, I think, have all come together and molded together to create who I am with the outlook that I have. I sometimes think that if things were easier for me in the beginning, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. And so just being able to, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the fact that, and I love being Jamaican. So I'm grateful for the fact that I'm a Jamaican, and I'm, as much as, I hated the fact that I grew up in a tough, violent, impoverished environment. I hated some of those experiences and the challenges. I see how they prepared me to move forward and to strive and to, as I like to say, keep on pushing. I just express gratitude for the experiences and the, as my English friends would say, the learnings, the lessons that I've taken away from those experiences. And so what would I say to someone who, have it all kind of and are kind of stuck behind a wall of fear? Hey, you're not alone. Every single successful person out there feel fear. There's no such thing as a person without fear. What you see are people who are courageous. And what do I mean by that? They are scared to death and they do it still. I mean, because I joke around a lot, people don't believe me when I tell them I'm scared of speed and height. I've jumped out of planes and I'm a 3-time Olympic bobsledder. I'm scared of speed and height. I am scared to death and I do it anyway. And so that would be my advice. It's okay to be scared, man, but you have to ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? That you fail, crash in front of the entire world. I have done that. It's not that bad. You live. So just, suck it up. And I don't mean to sound trivial. Yeah, you're going to be scared. And it's okay to be scared. Just do it anyway.
I love that answer. And that's exactly how I feel again. I love when I'm speaking with people who are so accomplished and who have had the obstacles that block people, but didn't let it stop them. Because to me, that hopefully will really encourage a lot of people, knowing that you have fears. Because some people looking at you may think, oh, he did all that because he's fearless.
Huh. Oh yeah, this is how I look at it, Jenny. I use analogies all the time, and I say, imagine you're standing on this side of the street, right? And it's where you are is okay. It could be miserably, you hate it, right? Or it's just okay. You look across the street, and it is so much better. Like, let's say all your hopes and dreams are over there, and you need to get across the street, but it's kind of busy. The cars, traffic going whizzing back and forth in either direction, and there are puddles and potholes, and you have to navigate all of that. You need to step off the safety and the comfort of the pavement into the street and start navigating these potholes and puddles and traffic whizzing back and forth. So you have all these obstacles, and it's as scary as hell. You have two choices. You can stay where you are and resign yourself to a mediocre life, or you could take a risk. You could risk falling into a pothole and having to crawl out. You can risk getting hit, dodging and skipping traffic. But you could do that and eventually get to the other side and go, oh my God, it was a treacherous journey, but it was so worth it. Look at what I have. Look at what I'm enjoying now, right? So I am just one who just don't want to stay on my side of the street. You have to step out of your comfort zone and take some risks and be scared to death, as I said earlier, but launch anyway.
Thank you so much. Are you an only child?
No, I am between both parents. I'm the first of 16 kids.
What?
Go figure.
16 years.
Awesome. I didn't grow up with all of them, but yes, I have a lot of siblings.
16. Is anybody else?
I'm number one.
Oh, wow. I'm number one in my family too. Boy, we have a lot in common. So what are the rest? Are you in touch with them all? Are they all following in your footsteps?
I am in touch with all of them for the most part. You can thank WhatsApp for that. We've always found a way to even before then, just to be connected. Some live here in the States and most live in Jamaica doing different things. From one brother is an optometrist, a brother who is a U.S. military veteran, an accountant. I'm talking about brothers, right? I have some sisters, so the boys tend to be the ones leading the pack. But yeah, everybody is healthy, and I'm grateful for that.
That's wonderful. So what is happening with this bobsleigh team now? Are you all still in touch? Are they doing anything in that arena anymore? Are you encouraging other people to keep it going? I mean, tell us what's happening with that.
Yeah, so a really good question. The short answer, I can't speak intelligently about what's happening like right now. I was really involved in the program up until last November, actually. I kind of stepped back just to focus on my speaking and my foundation. But I know that the guys who are kind of spearheading the effort, they were working on recruiting new athletes, as we have done over the years. And so hopefully, we will see them on TV next Olympic Games.
Well, at least you're going to go down in history as one of the founding members of the Jamaican Bobsleigh. Foundation. Is that what it's called? Is it a
Jamaican
foundation?
Bobsled Team, our federation, actually.
Federation,
Yeah.
right? And that is an honor.
Absolutely. You don't think about those things when in the beginning you're just trying to make the team and trying to, achieve a dream of representing your country. And then once you're selected, trying to do the best you can to bring honor to your country. But yeah, looking back, it's a high honor to be able to be one of the founding members.
So you've competed in how many Olympics total?
So 3. So Calgary in 88, Albertville 92, and Nagano in 98.
And did you bring home any medals that you would say, this is the one I'm hanging over the mantle?
So no Olympic medals. I actually, myself and my great man, Ricky McIntosh, won the very first medal Jamaica Bobsleigh ever won. It's in my office here somewhere. And from each Olympic Games, they'll give you a participation medal, which for years I didn't know where they were. My son had them in his room, but I've snagged them back.
So we are out of time, but I never wrap up a show unless I ask this question. Is there anything I did not ask you that you want my viewers to know?
I guess, what would I say? Hey, look, I think we all have a responsibility to work hard to be our absolute best. I know you're in San Francisco there, and I often share a quote from Bruce Lee, and I'm gonna paraphrase it because I know I'm gonna mess it up, but it says something to the effect that the duty of a quality human being is a sincere and honest development of their full potential. And so that's our responsibility. But the thing is that as you work to do that, to become your very best in the process, you inspire others to do the same. It just happens. Just think about the number of people that you are inspired by, who you probably don't know, but you've read about them. They struck out and tried to become their best and had to deal with the fears and the uncertainties, as we were just talking about, get past the obstacles. And then I would say that once you have tasted success and you're kind of find your way, find yourself on your way, don't forget to reach back and help somebody. I just saw this phrase yesterday, actually, in a conversation. Don't forget to send the elevator back down so somebody else can climb up.
I love that. Oh, what a perfect note to end on. I don't get to abuse this privilege, although I could keep on going.
No, I've been having fun. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for having this, joining me, inviting me, and for having this forum. And so, folks, I encourage you to continue to listen and support Jenny, because she's putting out some amazing content that I think you can absolutely benefit from.
Thank you so much. I am so very grateful. I'm your #1 fan. I don't know how many you have, but I'm at the head of the pack now.
My one and only fan. I finally have a fan. Yay!
Yes. And I'm going to be inviting you back because you have so much that you can share to encourage people. And that's why I do this.
Just say the word. How can I say no?
Good. Thank you. Before we wrap this show up, if someone wants to reach out to you for a speaking engagement, you're a keynote speaker. Could you leave the details of how they could find you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking that, Jenny. So perhaps the easiest way to find me is my website, devonharris.com. Thought I'd make it easy, devonharris.com. And I'm on social media, Instagram and Twitter. My handle is @keeponpushing88. @keeponpushing88. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. I'm the guy in the Jamaican Bobsled racing uniform. So I'm in all those places.
Thank you so much, Devon. And thank you so much for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. when a conversation is all you need to be inspired. And if this man has not inspired you, you were sleeping. So reach out to him. I'll be bringing him back soon, and I will see you next time.
Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.